welcome you all back. Hope you've, in the far corner there, they're still chatting. Nick. And we've got a few new arrivals slipped in there. I think they were expecting the karaoke. There's the poetry, never mind. Right, I'm proud to present Katie Ewing next, who is a poet and has performed previously. There's a lot of P's in that. Anyway, this is her first Hello Poetry experience, so I'd like to give her a warm round of applause. That's quite tough. Katie.
Hi. Yeah, it's lovely to be reading in Dumfries. I wasn't actually born in this region, but I grew up here, so a lot of my childhood memories are from this region, and this poem was inspired by one of those, a sort of place from childhood. The Minister's Pool. It wasn't just the downhill run, flung flying along the wooded path, that pulled us to the river every summer. As soon as the trees wore soft green, wild garlic flowered, the sky as blue as mattered. The water shocking, but survivable with many tries, or one brave plunge. It wasn't just the life-thick cold current that tugged us, kept trying to drag us to the pool, across the shallows, from our chest-deep swimming place. The safe place, where soft weed and slippy algae cushioned stones for our timid feet, that curious minnows nibbled, tickled. The edge was never far. It wasn't just the lurking corner whirlpool of local lore that scared the swimming power right out of me. The pool's depth renowned, greater with every telling. The cold like a spell to pull me fish deep as I gasped and fought to keep the surface. The dark, concealing primal fears, unspeakable, but with a stronger lure than adults' warnings could hold me from. It wasn't just its safety that drew you to the sandstone ledge you'd reach, if you dared to cross and push and pull yourself right out the sucking water, into the shadow of the massive, ancient, overhanging beech tree to seek a warm spot, exhausted, weed-specked, heavy as a newborn. The next one, we went on holiday abroad for the first time last year for many years, and I'm sure many people are familiar with when you're trying to get an affordable holiday, you sometimes have to drive quite a long way through the night to an airport that has a cheaper flight. And this led last year to us this just strange sort of otherworldly experience of midsummer midnight travel, and that's what inspired this poem. Holiday. We drive south all night, through late June's darkest hours, eyes fighting to stay open. A golden crescent moon cradles itself in sleepless night. As the big sky begins to wake to wan blue, we travel down through England's tangled midst, roads narrowing and twisting like old tree roots. At last we get there, hours early, and stop, nestled under big old roadside trees. You say, "Look," hushed and urgent, and point out across the road. The fox stood, soft in silhouette, caricatured, framed by hedge, first light misting from behind, and looked at us five, in our metal cage, breakfasting on donuts and purdies, waiting to drive under the raised barrier to an unknown airport parking lot. This one's really about the in houses. Just there are places in our houses that we don't go very often. This is a two-part poem. Spaces, 1. In the top room, sometimes you realise the wet hiss of the water tank behind the wall, and you'd look again at the slant-topped door to the loft, which had kept on being there in the corner. you'd go to it and wonder, should you tug it open, stoop through into the dark passage, stepping sideways past the tank, bent low to keep your head from spiteful jutting slate nails, searching with your feet for stable planks among the gaps, telling yourself that you are safe, that the hissing is just water, that nothing bad is lurking in the dark. Ahead, the skylight shines a dry, angelic pool of light on a painting scene of open boxes stacked at odd, abandoned angles, holding old forgotten papers, gas masks, helmets, unmade airfix planes, and the promise of discovery, of Enid Blyton's secret clues and spaces and adventure. You won't get there until your neck is stiff, your back sore, your patience stifled by the dark. And should you go in without a torch? 2. Under the house, the cellar waits, as cellars do, knowing it will draw me back in before long. Its dank and dripping walls enclose a coldness outside time and season, keep heaps of dust and rubble, the buried scraps of former lives and things stored too long, now rotting and forgotten, covering the cold earth floor where the roots of a home are planted, out of sight. I will always come back, feet crunching the old cardboard, crumbling hardboard, and broken dolls and metal cars, and keep looking for the loose brick in the wall that hides the ancient mechanism that will open the secret child-sized door I've always known is there. Thank you. This one I don't really know how to introduce, so I'm just going to read it. Effigy. Through the broken boardless window, we drop into chill dark. Where we walk, the debris crunches. You find the statue, crucified Christ, alone and dull with algae, bare-chested and broken, headless and small, on the altar of this wrecked gentry chapel. Country religion in simple miniature, its doors locked and nailed with planks, the path there overgrown, enclosed in green. Our voices echo dull. And I remember last night, sleep was doing that mean dance with me, teasing and never giving in, turning bed hard and achy. The windows rattled. I got up, felt my way towards the toilet, glanced up in the dark to see outside the tree god, glowing, unmistakable, awesome, but dismembered, blind, and shaking with rage or anguish. I look away and rush on. It's just the almost dead pear tree, whose limbs have been lopped off some time ago, before our time, without mercy, thrilling in the storm, and lit to unreality by streetlights. This is the second last one I'm going to read tonight. This was written in 2003, and at the time I had young children, and this poem I think is inspired by a combination of the experience of parenting young children and the strange atmosphere that there was after the millennium, this strange sort of post-millennial anguish, let's call it, and you'll see what I mean when it's just a true story. Nightmares and nosebleeds. For weeks, our nights had been disturbed, Beth shouting and crying from her high bed downstairs. One of us would rush down, cold, naked, half asleep, and find her blood-soaked or terrified or both, dream-riddled. Our dreams were potent, wild, our noses bled. I dreamt the kind of dream one night, filmic, but realer than reality, of cold men in black suits in a white room talking about the new virus that had been sent out, nicknamed nightmares and nosebleeds. My final one tonight, I'm a mature student and I'm a mother and I don't get very many nights out. The last time I was in a pub was for a student comedy night just round the corner, and this poem is kind of the story of that night. The journey. I drove out in the wild night, rain like sheets of waterfall washing over the windscreen, hearing the weather's alarming song and my CD playing loud and earthy, Feist singing, I feel it all, keeping me almost calm, keeping me company for the anxious dark half hour to town, the road's a river. Downpouring night had flushed the streets quite empty, just cars and harsh streetlights, occasional smokers in lit yellow doorways. I parked, with many tiny moves in a conveniently close but pretty tight space, and wrapped myself up to battle through the pissing rain. The pub doorway bulged warmth, the smell of years of beer, and a solitary bouncer, or smoking employee, hard to tell. The comedy was upstairs, past the square-lit bar, all gleaming bottles, glasses, pouring drinks. Nervous regulars, locals invaded for the night, glance up or smile at me surreptitiously or don't look. Upstairs, the student audience is smaller than expected. Usually these nights heave and seats are scarce and hard won. Tonight, I sit with friends, but they needn't have saved my space. Before the show, those bunched up in the back half of the room are kindly asked to move forward, which they do, and it feels better. The comedians are late. We wait. Finally they get here, weathered by the long drive, and grab a drink. One by one, they face us, toy with us, and we play too, and we're scared and awkward and happy, and the laughter sometimes hurts, and we sip beer or water and we chat in the interval. And the ladies' toilets are behind the comedians, so you risk having to walk across the stage area while they perform if you take too long in the break, so you hurry. And the last act sizzles. Two incongruous men dispense with broken microphones and make us their own. Bring pained girls blushing and laughing from the audience and give the crowd control of the context. Bring us to a peak of excruciating pleasure and release and leave us before midnight, sweating and spent, downing the remnants of our drinks and saying goodnight in the cold and dark. The rain has stopped. That's it. Thank you.
Well, that was really, really brilliant. What a fascinating review of a comedy night. I wonder if Kate is going to write a poem about tonight, maybe. Dread to think. Well, I'm wondering whether we bring up another couple of poets or we go straight to the raffle. Such excitement. I don't know. I'm looking at Duffy over here. Are we going to do the raffle?
We can do the raffle. We've got the audience poem.
Oh, we've got the audience poem. Slipped my mind. Excellent. Yeah. I shall pass that over to you.
So?
I think we should.
Okay. What a lot of poetry is about is bringing folk together, and this is a prime example of it. Everybody's had a shot at writing this, so it might end up a little abstract, shall we say. Oh wow, everybody has had a shot. Okay. Down where burns spooled and fooled, where heads were often by hearts ruled. Wow, rhyming couplet in the first go. Never knowing where any act would end, she stuck her tongue around the bend, looking for a long-lost friend. The dark cloud moved across the moon. Beneath the stillness stopped, above the light was cropped. Cropped photos are great. Greatness is never recognised until all is too late. Too late for the great night. For the bait. A wop, bop, a loo bop, a wop bamboo. Hail Satan! oops, sorry, I meant Jesus saves. I hope he saves enough for us all in this time of empty pockets. Together, two most friends that are strangers, strangers born in mangers with wise men, will be eternal friends when they get down to the button ben. Now and then they find all manner of shiny things, shimmering like fairies in the morning sunlight. I wanted to take them home. Home to the glowing, crackling fire that spitted out teeny tiny fireballs that plummeted and plunged onto the soft cream rug in front of the fireplace. Wow, thank you all. Give yourselves all a round of applause. Wow. That came out a lot better than I could have dreamed. In fact, that probably was one of my dreams. Right, on to the raffle now. We're going to keep...
Something like that.
Keep that one. Yes. We've got a prize bag of randomness, and in equal randomness we're going to draw the numbers. Yeah? There you go. And the first one is number 3. There you go. So a prize is picked at random. What have we got? It actually plays a tune if you push the button. Kevin, would you pick this number? Oh, I've got 2. Sorry, 1. Number 10. Got Nick on the back of it. What do you get, Nick? You get Eddie Gibbons. What did they say about you? Now that's rare because they've all sold out. Sorry, I'm just picking. You pick one. Number 7. And what does he win? Get to pick in the random bag. We're just going to pick another one out while Sarah's still out there. Oh, it's number 9. Oh no, it's Ali Gill. You've already won. Back in. Yes, thank you, Alison. Okay, and the next one out is number 2, which is David Tollick. Okay. One of our readers actually wins. Huh? Mix them up.
Yeah, you've got a lot of low numbers. What do you want me to do? I'm going to get one now. I just watched this. I haven't got one. You know what's got James? She put her name in the back. That is so impressive, isn't it?
The next number is number 15.
I think my prize needs interpreted.
Have we got anything left in the bag? You've got some French chalk, David, so you can write your poetry all over the streets and it'll disappear with the first bit of rain. Have we got anything left in the bag? We've got Nicky Melville's little booklet that prisoners at the young version of Sockton anyway in Edinburgh wrote. It's unusual. And oh no, what's that? Number 5. It's Dougal Lone. What's your man?
Do you know what? Let's do another one.
What's the no? Okay, you pick it this time. Get it right.
18. 18.
got it.
Oh, who picked it?
What, it's so cute, you know who picked it?
No, they picked 18 especially. 18?